Hi guys, in this video we're going to be looking at how to add two numbers together using partitioning, or what is sometimes referred to as the split method. Now, one of the useful things about using the split method is it removes the need for any exchanging. So if you have had problems with exchanging when it comes to doing formal addition problems like chimney sums, then using partitioning like this will perhaps solve that problem for you. Now, in order to do this, we need to know a little something about how numbers are actually constructed. So, if we take these numbers here, 43 and 52, we can actually partition these numbers or break them up into separate parts. So, for instance, 43 is made up of two numbers. It's made up of a 40 and a 3. Similarly, the number 52 is made up of a 50 and a 2. This can be done for any numbers that are made of 2 digits or more. And it's a fundamental skill that's used when we're adding using the split method. Now, there are lots of ways of laying out the split method. I'm going to just show one of them today, a way that I find to be particularly effective. And I'm going to start off by writing out this sum here just normally. So one number per box, 43 plus 52. And beside it, I'm going to do a colon. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out the sum again, but with the numbers partitioned. So I'm going to start off looking at just the tens. So I'm going to take the 40 and the 50 here. And I'm going to add just them together. So I do 40 plus 50. And then write what it equals. And the answer to 40 plus 50 is 90. Next, I'll change colour for this. Next, I'm going to be dealing with the units. So, on the next line, I'm going to write out yet another addition sum, but this time with the units. So I'm going to do 3 plus 2 equals 5. And I'm going to take care to actually line up my different columns. So I'm imagining this column here as being the units column, and this column here as being the tens column. So the unit is going to belong in the units column here. Now all I have to do is add my two answers together to get my final answer. So 90 plus 5 equals 95. Let's look at another example. So in this example, we're dealing with slightly bigger numbers. We have a 600, a 70, and an 8, and a 200, a 60, and an 8. Now that means that we are going to require more space to do this working. So before, I only had tens and units, and so I only needed to use 2 lines of working. This time I have hundreds, tens and units, and so I will have to use 3 lines to complete my working. As before, I'm going to start off by writing out my sum just normally. So I'm going to write out 678 plus 268 and my colon. Okay, now I'm going to start off by dealing with the hundreds, and I write out the sum again as a simple addition sum, but with the hundreds. So 600 plus 200. So I'm dealing with these sections here, the 600 and the 200. And the answer to that is 800. Now, just to keep it clear, I'm going to change colour again. For the tens, I'm going to use this colour here, and I'm going to be adding the 70 and the 60. So on the next line, I start writing it out. 70 plus 60 equals, and when I do this, I like to always keep my equal sign lined up. I think that is a useful strategy to use. 70 plus 60 is 130. So, I've dealt with the hundreds and I've dealt with the tens. Lastly, I'm going to work on the units here. So I'm doing 8 plus 8. And the answer is 16. Again, I need to be careful to line up my columns. So I've got the units lined up carefully, the tens lined up carefully, and the hundreds lined up carefully. Now to get my final answer, all I have to do is add these three together. So 0 plus 0 plus 6 is 6. 0 plus 3 plus 1 is 4. 8 plus 1 is 9. So my final answer in this case is 946. So to do this, all we had to do was to split up our numbers into its constituent parts, into its hundreds, its tens, and its units, and then add like with like. So I added the hundreds to the hundreds, I added the tens to the tens, and I added the units to the units. Then when I combined my answer here, I arrived at the final answer.